Good afternoon, my dear students. Well, you have attempted in the last week, I think in the last Monday, I think you have attempted the first online test that I had given to you. So, yeah, I have just got around 23 scripts or so. I have just corrected that, and I think the marks are being uploaded. Probably you may get it in a very short while. As I had told you, I had discussed, I had given you the question paper pattern and all. Yeah, you people have done it well. Of course, you have understood at least okay, what kind of the question papers pattern that you would be getting to know, and then how you need to attempt. But one thing is that you did not have anything related to grammar, right? So I have given you just a very small passage for the comprehension, and that too probably, yes, you have done it well, but some or the other way there are some confusions in your mind, especially with that last question that I had given you on suggest a suitable title. So when you are attempting this question, title should be not more than 3 or 4 words, isn't it? You cannot write a line, isn't it? That cannot be regarded as a title. Title can be a very abridged form of what the passage is all about. That's what you have to write actually. Probably certain mistakes with the 4th, 5th, 6th question that I had given you, and then again the 5th question, like who can control the traffic once the school gets over. It is more, rather than police, it is more than police, it is teachers should be the answer. So those who have written teachers and police, I have given you the marks. Those who have just written only police, you will lose it, because it's very clearly given that in the passage that it is the teacher's job, isn't it? So these are the things. And coming back to the first questions, I mean the first main questions, I had given you 5 questions out of it, where you will have to just write down in one word, phrase, or maybe in a sentence or something. I think the first question was on about the author, isn't it? And then who is the chairman, and and then who was appointed as the secretary, where was this man's hut located, at the edge of the jungle. That's what you are supposed to write. Most of you have written that, isn't it? And then coming on to the second main, what I have noticed here is that I had given you a choice of writing only the answers for 2 questions out of 3, isn't it? So most of you have written 3. It's okay, but you will be actually wasting the time there. If you are very clear, very perfect with your answers, you can attempt only 2. In case if you have any kind of inhibitions or hesitations, or probably not prepared well, or not sure of the answers or something, you can attempt 3, where we will regard the best answer and we will give you the marks accordingly. And coming on to the third main, I think I had given you 2 questions out of it, where you will have to answer the one question in about 200 words or so. Okay, so please see to it that you use proper spellings of the words. The sentence structures that you actually make should be proper, isn't it? And you have to answer to the point about what the question is all about or something. Well, so far whatever the 23 scripts, I'm sorry, I think I got only 21 so far. So 21 scripts whatever I have got, I think none of you have got, below 10 or something is what I feel. And yeah, marks are pretty good, but it's not enough. As I say always, that you should not be very confident about the subject or something. So whatever we have been doing, see to it that you watch the videos again and again, try to understand whatever we discuss. Okay, so most of you are having a big question in your mind, that where is the notes, how can we get the notes or something. So let me see, because I actually for the 11th class I actually dictate the notes in the class only. So let us see, like then since the situations are not very clear about the reopening, or when you are back to the college or something, I will make some kind of alternate arrangements in terms of providing you the notes. Don't worry about that. Right now, don't think of the notes, just concentrate on the classes and just concentrate on whatever is being discussed. Not only in my class, in everyone's class. All right. Okay. Now I'm coming back to you on my class number 9, and what were we doing? We have discussed a poem by William Blake. The title of the poem is The Schoolboy, and in the last class of mine, I think you all have very well seen about the discussion. So since it was a break of almost around a 1 week or so or something, I'll just try to recapitulate once again, and probably I'll come to the discussion of the question and answers in this class. All right. Okay. Now, the Schoolboy, the title of the poem is The Schoolboy. Okay, so we had done some pre-reading activity. Before that, we discussed something about William Blake. As I said, that he was also one of the nature poet, one who's to be regarded as, and he has written so many works in which songs of experience and songs of innocence. These are the collection of his poems, out of which the songs of experience, the Schoolboy, is actually a song that has been taken from one of his works, that is the songs of experience. That is what you need to understand. And then the pre-reading activity of the poem actually asked us to go back to your school days and remember what memories do you still remember and share it with them. Then we had a look at the picture that was given there, and then we started off with the narration of the poem. The narration in the poem, wherever you find the word I, whom do you think it is? It is either the speaker or it is the poet himself. So the poem starts with the word I, nothing but first person narration. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree, the distant huntsman winds his horn, and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what a sweet company do I have. So the speaker or the poet himself in the poem loves to wake up early in the morning, that is a summer morning rather, and when he wakes up early, he could hear the songs of the birds, and he can also hear a distant huntsman, a person, one who's about to go for hunting. He actually blows his horn, and the skylark, that is name of the bird, skylark, also sings with me, and I feel very happy because I have these people along with me in my company. That's the first stanza of the poem. And then coming on to the second, but to go to school. So there is an immediate, what can I say, deviation, or there is an immediate transcription here, because the very first stanza is not at all coincidenting with what is the second stanza is all about. But the speaker continues saying that, but to go to school on a summer morning, oh, it drives all joy away. That is, he is becoming disappointed, or he is very sad for the fact that I don't want to go to the school early or maybe in the summer morning, because it will take all my joy. I will not be happy if I go to the school. Under a cruel eye outward. Who is the cruel eye here? Nothing but the lecturers or the teachers. Okay, the poet is comparing them, that I do not want to sit under a supervision. Whom are you will be supervised when you are in a college or in a school? Obviously your teachers, isn't it? So I do not want to sit under a cruel eye outward. The little ones spend the day in sighing and dismaying. All, not only me, most of the students in the school always spend their time in sighing, like, you know, they will be so much irritated, at the same time they will be very much surprised to sit in a classroom. Then he says, then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through the dreary shower. So in the third stanza, the speaker still continues telling us that he doesn't want to sit in a classroom. That's what he says. And at times I sit drooping, like, you know, bending down my shoulders, I sit and spend many anxious hours. I just keep on spending anxious hours. When will I go home? When will I go to the forest? Or when will I go out or something? So I'll keep on spending my hour in an anxious way. Nor in book can I take any. I am not at all interested to take anything in the notes when my teachers or when my lecturers dictate or ask me to write something. Nor sit in learning's bower. I don't want to sit in a classroom. That's what he says. Worn through with the dreary shower. Worn through with a dreary shower. That is, I do not want to sit in the class to listen to a lecture or to be supervised by someone, take down the notes, nothing of this sort I don't want to do. Dreary shower is once again a reference to the authorities in the school. It could be a headmaster, it could be his own teacher, it could be the people who run the school or whatsoever. Clear? So in the fourth stanza, he goes back to his nature. That is, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? So now he starts making the comparison between himself and a bird, right? So how can the bird that is born for joy, that is, children are compared to the birds here, because children are compared to a bird and they all should need to have a freedom, isn't it? Sit in a cage and sing. How can you expect a bird which is born for the joy? That is, it wants its freedom, it wants to go out, rather to be in a cage and be made to sing. How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? That is, once the time goes, it will never come back to us, isn't it? Can you able to go back to your childhood now? No, you can just only recall the memories there, isn't it? In the similar way, once the time is gone, it will never come back to us. So according to the poet here, the birds cannot be caged, or they cannot be made to sing in a cage or so. They should be given the freedom. In the similar way, even children who are at their youthful days should be given enough freedom. They should have their own freedom to take part in it and forget his youthful spring. Youthful spring is a reference to childhood. Then in the next stanza, O father and mother, if buds are nipped, if buds, nothing but children, are nipped and blossoms are blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and care's dismay. That is, he is making a request to all the parents. That is, the poet is making a request to all the parents. O father, O mother, if buds, if you make them that you have to do only this, you have to do only that. If your buds are a reference to the children who are nipped, that you should do what I say. And blossoms are blown away. That is, you take away our happiness. And if the tender plants are stripped, that is, tender plants are once again a reference to tender plants. Whom do you think is the reference? It's a reference to, yes, it's a reference to the children only. Tender plants are stripped. If you cut them, or if you bombard them, or if you stick on to them with some rules and regulations or something of their joy in the springing day, that is summer morn, spring day. Okay, so if you just try to take away their youthful days, then it will be only a sorrow, and cares will always be surprised. Clear? Okay, he makes a request to all the parents as a speaker in the poem, and then he comes to the last stanza of the poem and tells us that, how shall the summer arise in joy? Now he is making a conclusion here, because it is the last stanza of the poem. How shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear, or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year, that is, bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear. So once again, in the conclusion part of the poem, in the last stanza of the poem, what the poet is trying to tell us here is that how can be a summer morning, how can be a summer morning which has its own way in the form of the spring, where the fruits can be how these fruits can be bearing on the trees. If you take away all these kinds of the things in the form of the restrictions, how can they? That is, how shall the summer arise in joy? He is trying to ask these questions. If you do not give them freedom, then how can it arise? Or the summer's fruit appear on the trees, or how can they bear the fruits? Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy? Griefs are meant for only sorrows and pains, isn't it? So we should definitely have every day a new beginning for us, isn't it? And then, or bless the mellowing year, that is, we keep on expecting that this time or this day will be better than tomorrow, or tomorrow will be better than today's day. That is, as students or as youths or as children, what we think is that we keep on expecting that tomorrow will be a better day. Don't we think so? Isn't it? Even we also expect the same thing, like, tomorrow will be a better day, isn't it? So, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear. That is, the blasts of the winter will appear, but we have enough freedom to cope up with the summer when it starts arising, because in the spring what we see is that all the plants or all the trees in the garden starts bearing the fruit. So if you want any of the school boy to be happy, you have to give them enough freedom. So if you do not give freedom, then it will be like a plant that is stripped, or if the buds are nipped, that is soaked without giving any freedom or something. So ultimately, what do you understand in this poem is that William Blake, the poet of the poet of the poem, is making to let us know that school children should be given what? They should be given freedom, isn't it? So they should be given enough freedom so that they can choose whatever they like, rather than going just to a school or being looked after by your lecturers or the teachers or something. Give us our freedom. We just need to take our own days in the form of, what can I say, excitement, enlightenment, being happy, rather than in a pensive mode or being very sad by restricting ourselves from the parents or maybe from the school people or something. So ultimately, what do you understand here is that the schoolboy in the poem loves to be with the nature, loves to find out what's happening in and around the nature, rather than he doesn't want to go to the school and just while away the time in the form of amazement. He doesn't want to study, he doesn't want to take up any notes whatsoever, and he rather wants to hear the birds singing. He wants to see the huntsmen, how they hunt, how they go for hunting. He wants to be looking at different birds, the way how they start singing, because that will be his best company in his youthful days. Am I clear with that? So this is all the discussion is all about the poem that we have, The Schoolboy. Hope I have not gone very fast, because I just recapitulated this, isn't it? Because I had in my earlier class I had given you the discussion, or we have discussed already the word. I just recapitulated it. So you can just watch it again and again if you have any confusions or any doubts or so with respect to the stanzas. So be very specific here. Stanzas do come in only poems. Don't say paragraphs. Paragraphs do come in essays or short stories or plays or whatsoever. Stanzas, you have to think of this. You have learned or you have read so many poems so far in your life, isn't it? In a similar way. So don't get mixed up with paragraph and stanza. Stanzas should be specifically meant for only the poems that we actually do. Okay, so there is a glossary given there. You can just see. The first word is huntsman. Huntsman is nothing but a person, one who goes for hunting. Why it is used here? Because he hears the horn blown by the hunter, which is also a part of his best company. Winds his horn, that is, he starts blowing this horn. A cruel eye outward, authoritative ways of teaching. It could be your lecturer, it could be your teacher, it could be the management or whatsoever. Dismay, feeling of fear or discouragement. Dismay, I am very afraid, I am very scared. Then anxious hour, restlessness of the boy. That is, he just wants to go out of the classroom. He keeps on waiting for anxious hours, isn't it? Because he is in a school, doesn't want to sit. He wants to go back to the nature, isn't it? Okay. Then learning bower, metaphor for school. Learning bower here is a metaphor used as a figure of speech with respect to the school. Then dreary shore, it emphasizes the aspects of the school. And then the blasts of the winter, strong gusts of winter, nothing but the snowstorms or something. Okay, now with this explanation, let me come on to the question and answers of this, and let me just complete it today. Okay, who do you think I refers to in the poem? I have very clearly told you at the beginning of my discussion. Comprehension number 1, one word question and answers. The first one, who do you think I refers to in the poem? Whom do you think I is a reference? I, excuse me. I is a reference to the speaker or the poet himself. You can write both the ways. The speaker in the poem, or it can be the poet himself. Sweet company refers to the skylark, the huntsman's horn, or the bird's calls, or all of the above. 4 options are there. Sweet company, according to the boy, according to the speaker. Yes, it is all of the above, option D. Then, what drives the boy's joy away? What drives away? What takes away the joy of the boy? That is, it takes away, that is the moment he wants to go to a school. To go to school in a summer morning takes all his joy away. That's what you have to write. How do the little ones spend the day in school? They always spend their time with dismay. Okay, anxious and dismay. What is that it says here in the third stanza, I think. Yeah. Spend in many anxious hour, not book that I can delight. And yeah, drooping sit, anxious hour, not in the book delight. They always keep with the sigh. That the little ones spend the day. In the second stanza, last two lines. The little ones spend all the day, keep on sighing and dismay. Anxious, fearful and sighing. So sighing and dismay. These are the two words that can be written as the answers. Then, what does the cage stand for in the poem? Cage stands for what? Restrictions. Or cage is a reference to school, you can say. Okay. So what is that restricting them? It's obviously the school. So cage refers to the school. Pick the phrase from the following which does not refer to formal schooling. Buds are nipped, fruits are gathered, plants are stripped, blossoms are blown away. It's only the gathering, isn't it? Where gathering happens in the school. So option B should be your answer for that. Okay. Buds are nipped, parents are doing it. Plants are stripped, again parents are doing it, or the schools. Blossoms are blown away, maybe once again because of the school or the authorities in the school. But fruits are gathered because they produce the fruit only because of the nature. So hence B would be the correct option. Now, relate the seasons mentioned under column A with the stages of life in column B. Spring is nothing but your childhood. Summer is nothing but your youth, because you have already read the poem there, isn't it? Then winter can be your old age. Okay, I repeat it again. Spring is a reference to your childhood. Summer is a reference to your youthful days. That is, you start going for schooling, formal schooling and all those stuff, right? So winter refers to your old age. Okay, then in the second main, you have 3 questions left. What does the schoolboy love to do on a summer morn? What drives his joy away? So you have to make your own answers. Okay, so what is that you're going to write down here? So the first and also the second stanza of the poem. Okay, so use your own sentences and try to answer that question. Keep it in your mind. I'll give you the notes. Don't worry about that. Okay. Then describe the boy's experience in the school. So how does he sit? Drooping shoulders, anxious, isn't it? So all these things you can write in there. According to the poet, how does formal education curb a learner's potential? Formal education means only come to the school, sit, don't learn anything outside or don't look at the nature arts altogether. So how it can curb? Curb means what? Restrict. Okay, how according to the poet a formal education curb? How can it restrict or withheld a learner's potential? Because a learner will have so many things to learn if he is outside from the school or something. Go back to the Gurukula system of education that we had in India, isn't it? So I'm just giving you hints here so that you can just think and be ready with your answer. Then you have the third main long answer questions, and the first question is, formal schooling not only takes away the joy of the childhood but also hinders the child's growth forever. Explain. So the whole poem is all about the same thing here, that is the joy of childhood but also hinders, lacks, L-A-C-K. Okay, it lacks the child's growth forever. Explain. With reference to all the stanzas whatever we have discussed, you can answer this question. Then, do you think the poet is arguing against education? Probably yes, isn't it? So discuss with reference to your answers. Further reading, Afternoon in a School, the last session. So there is a poem that has been given there by D.H. Lawrence. Okay, and suggested reading, there are some 3 texts that have been given there. So that completes your second unit, and probably in the next class we will start around a medicinal creeper. So it's a very interesting story, and we shall start discussing it probably from the next class onwards. Okay, so I positively presume the fact that whatever has been discussed with respect to the discussion of the poems or with respect to the question and answers just a while I have discussed is in your head, okay, not above your head. So it should go inside your head, not above your head. So it goes above your head, then everything is useless, right? So hope that you have understood the schoolboy and the poet. What does he talk to us here with this title, The Schoolboy? So in this he talks to us about freedom being given to the youths. That's what the main gist or the theme of the poem or whatsoever that you can think of. Okay, so I'll stop here and I shall meet you in the next class with the next unit from your literature texts, that is from your reflections. It is around a medicinal creeper. So we will discuss it in the next class. All right, thank you very much.